Morning, everybody. So there's a couple of really interesting stories that I want to talk about right now. So I woke up and found Shanny Binks, aka Big Red, tweeted. When was it? Oh, this is November 30th. So I guess this was a couple of days ago. So I guess I'm a little bit slow. But she said, thanks to hashtag MRAs and hashtag anti-feminist, I've now been officially diagnosed with PTSD. So thanks, MRAs. It's the gift that keeps on giving. But the best part is Bane replying to it saying, well, as someone once said, cry me a river. Who was that again? Because, she has that infamous fucking video that, well, she's infamous for. Where oh my god. She was protesting, I think it was a Warren Farrell speech. It was a Warren Farrell, and if you go and look at, a Warren Farrell video, he's like a fucking koala bear. It's fucking ludicrous that anybody tries to act like he's some sort of a threat, that people feel, afraid that Warren Farrell's gonna be on campus. It's just, the most, kind, soft-spoken person. Total pink pill. That's the sugar-coated red pill. That's my term for it. I'm the first person to do that, by the way, that I'm aware of. Just start calling that the pink pill. Just throwing it out there. And if you want to know what I mean by the pink pill, fucking Warren Farrell, Cassie J, those two, easily are, the top two. And it's just because their way of talking about things and going, they're so kind and patient and understanding. Not everybody can do that, but maybe everybody should try to move a little bit in that direction. We'll see. We'll see if we can live in the fucking kumbaya world someday. But, yeah, that was Chaney Bix. But just, what fucking, sweet irony, right? Because she literally was mocking, suicidal men, saying, boo-hoo, cry me a river. So the idea that she's, trying to get sympathy now, being well, I have PTSD, and it's you're a cunt. And she's an unapologetic cunt for the most part. In her, her interview with Cassie J for, what was it? It was, sorry, it was the Red Pill, After Files. I forgot what she called them. The Red Pill Files? Red Pill? It'll come back to me, I'm gonna feel stupid for forgetting. But, in that, Chaney Bix was saying, why don't you guys just start your own movement? And it's bitch, the reason you're in this documentary, the reason people know about you, the reason you're on the internet, is because you were, protesting their right to fucking exist and have a fucking talk, I'm sure she realized that hypocrisy later on. So I think that's, the only, growth in her position we've seen, is that she, acknowledges, okay, you get to exist. So I guess that's where we're at. The other story, though, is actually much more interesting. The Brock Turner case. So I was always, this was a case where people, nobody gave a shit about it until after they're oh my god, I can't believe he only served a 3-month whatever. But if you looked at the actual facts of the case, it was such bullshit. It was drunk sex is what it sounded like. The entire thing hinges on whether or not she was, unconscious at the actual time, but at the same time, he was really drunk too. She was more drunk, that's true. So there's the aspects of it, but one thing that I was looking for I wanted to actually read, I guess they released a 172-page brief that was filed a couple days ago. So I guess that's not available to the public at this time. I kind of clicked around to see. I'm not really sure exactly how all that works. I could probably ask some people who would know, but anyway, the point is I couldn't find it. Maybe it'll be out there later. But some of the stuff that was highlighted was the dumpster claim. And that was the thing, is that was the major thing that I was reading through it to try to find, because I had heard that wasn't true. And I didn't read the entire case, so I might have just missed it, but I couldn't find things that were decisive one way or another. They didn't I didn't see a map included or anything like that, or any kind of a diagram showing where things were. But yeah, it turns out that's a big thing that the defense is pointing out, is they're I'm just going to read this part of it. The prejudicial aspects of this behind the dumpster characterization were twofold. One, it implied an intent on the appellate's part to shield and sequester his activities from Miss Doe from the view of others. And two, it implied moral depravity, callousness, and culpability on the appellate's part because of the inherent connotations of filth, garbage, detritus, and criminal activity frequently generally associated with dumpsters. right? And like, I think that's all totally fair. I mean, the second point I think is not as strong as the first point. I think the first point, that the implication is that he was trying to like go off somewhere and hide. You know, and the next thing they point out is directly contradicted by the fact that they were found by people across like the basketball court. Clearly they weren't hidden. You know, and like, you know, the idea is like they had to have proven beyond a reasonable doubt that like her state of mind at a particular time and that she wasn't lying. And like, given other circumstances surrounding it, like that her boyfriend called her and she was like drunk and incoherent, like I don't, like, it's, to me it seems like a regret rape case. Oh, and then the reason I really feel comfortable saying that is because of the fucking letter she wrote. Like, you can tell from that letter, and maybe I'll do a video like actually going through it, like some of the language, to like why I don't believe it. It's written with like feminist buzzwords and that style of language, and like that's the kind of person who would lie. That's the kind of person who's looking for a Me Too. It's the kind of person who wants to have a story. And that sort of person who uses that kind of language, they coach themselves into victimhood. And they're the kind of person who, like, when a person has bad sex, they like convince their friend that they were raped. Like, it's that sort of a dynamic, and it's insulting to people who are actually raped. It's insulting to people who are actual victims of real forms of sexual violence. You know, and like, this whole thing is like, she was like way older too. She was like 20 something, partying with a bunch of like freshmen and undergraduates and shit, like getting drunk with them. And then she talks about how at the party they were joking how, oh, she's the mama bear or whatever. And like they got super drunk. Her friends like multiple times, I think, tried to like get her to leave, and then she just like decided to fuck off with him. And it's like even if you accept her being unconscious at a point, like, she was not unconscious during a lot of these other decisions that all led up to it. And like, why isn't there any sense of culpability there? Like, it's just so hyperbolic to call it that. But like, what I want to conclude on is like, this last closing out, they talked about the Santa Clara County District Attorney Jeff Rosen stood by the conviction Friday night. Brock Turner received a fair trial and was justly convicted, he told the Mercury News. His conviction will be upheld. Nothing can ever roll back Emily Doe's legacy of raising the world's awareness about sexual assault. Just like that last line, like, I don't know. To me, it screams not genuine. It screams like we're pushing this for a fucking narrative. And like, that's what we see in a lot of these cases, and there need to be more people who are calling out people who are just callously using it to promote their fucking agendas. It's absolutely ridiculous. The primary victims of sexual violence, especially in America, well, it's baby boys. They're the primary victims. Now, anybody who wants to challenge that, I think you're an asshole. And anybody who wants to say that it's not important that baby boys are the #1 victims, I think you're a complete fucking asshole. And I don't care if you're a rape victim saying that. Fuck you. Go get raped again. Fuck you. Like, because, you know, as I've said in previous videos, the entire premise of our approach to gender issues was that women were oppressed relative to men. And you can't go from that and from decades and multiple waves and multiple generations of things being built with those assumptions. You can't counter that with neutrality. You can't. Like, you can't just say, oh, okay, well, now we're even. Like, no, like, we have to fix this shit. And that means holding women accountable for the excesses of their movement. And this is one of them. The treatment around this. This is the erosion of due process. This is basically sluts destroying the West. This is just one other way that they do that. And I have nothing against sluts, essentially. The problem I have with them is that they just pass on the consequences of their actions to society. And in this case, they do it through the legal system by eroding due process. And other times they do it through the welfare state by forcing others to subsidize their poor decisions. So, you know, I just want to like see the age of the heroic woman, because I think it would be spectacular. We'd see a society that's much better and more prosperous and more fair than we've ever seen before. But remains to be seen. You guys have a good day and keep it easy.